1 and Stage 2 engine chill has started. Engine hydraulics at pressure. And Stage 1 fuel is closed out. Falcon 9 is in self-align. Falcon 9 heaters closing out.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Vehicle tanks pressing for strong back retract.
Strong back retract has started.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed. Stage 1 RP1 bleed. AFTS final setup started. MBAG igniter purges. Pogo bleed.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
Stage 1 LOX load closed out. Vehicle is transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 LOX load is closed out. Propellant fills are complete.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Ground gas closeouts is starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
FTS is armed for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
Top 79, Yankee Bridge. 2025, 79, do silver ground tank, tequila. 2377 on the tequila going somewhere around 597. 77, do silver ground tank, be a Lima Kilo 5 and hold short of tequila.
All right, welcome folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It is going to be our Wednesday SITREP as we head into this Thanksgiving Day 4-day weekend. And it's about 11 a.m. Central Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. And it is November 23rd, 2022. And so without further ado, let's hop over to our board. We're going to kick it off in Skyglass as always. We're sitting a little light. It's sitting around 275 at last check. Load prior to that was 420, but as always, when we do that, you get them starting to drop off in Europe because it is nighttime over there. So, heaviest up right now are the tankers. We got 29 air refuelers up. Excuse me. And then T-38's about 20, which is pretty light. H-60, 17 of those bad dudes up. Now, we did have like 35 of them up last night. Excuse me. I get a little bug in my throat there. C-17, 17 of those. So we're going to start looking at our numbers here a little closer. R-135s, 3 of those bad dudes up. But without further ado, let's hop over to our watch list and see what we've got going on. Now, I will point out that our Phoenix Bird is up and running their little routes over Maricopa County right now. And just a data point for you. And then, of course, we've got some little Shady 76, going to be a BE-30 intelligence bird up. And a little P3, it's going to be a NOAA. That's a weather bird, kind of off the east coast of Florida. This little BE-30 is kind of interesting because it's kind of lingering over Trump's area. And we'll continue to watch that. That's been frequent down in Miami, but this time it looks like he's decided to head a little further north. Like I said, up there towards Trump. So keep an eye on him, keep him honest. And then let's get up here to, we've got this 757-200, which is a blue and white coming back in the country. Don't know who's on that one. And a little G5, that's a Venus flight. And then it's E6 rolling out of DC. You can see it's just run a couple little routes there. Remember, that's a TACOMO. So it's talking to our ICBMs. Right? And then notice this little P8 doing some work there south of England. And looks like it was up in North England as well. Little E3, again, little man in the middle there. Say a little tight circle over Poland. Got a little Q4 up, a little Forte 10. We haven't seen those in a while, really. They have kind of lightened the load, so to speak. But notice, again, over Istanbul, right? And kind of right there along the Black Sea. I think that's going to come in to play here soon, especially if we decide to go after Russia from a port perspective. Another man in the middle there, E3 over Spain. But yeah, that Q4 is taking off out of Malta. And then check out the this B-703. Now, that is Israeli Air Force. It's interesting to see them go airborne because keep in mind, Israel is only from end to end about 184 miles. It's not a lot, or actually, from a biblical standpoint, that's 1,600 stadia, which that'll take you right in the book of Revelation. That's Armageddon, and that is a reference point, 1,600 stadia, blood up to the horses' bridles. So, if you kind of put that in perspective, that isn't just filling up a valley. That is actually coast to coast or end to end from an Israel, the state of Israel perspective. That's a lot of blood. So, all right. Now let's get back over here. Let's see what we've got. We're looking at our watch list. Let's take a look at the heavies. An interesting little dynamic with the heavies today. In that they are, that is not my new heavy list. All right, we'll skip the heavies. I'm going to have to reload that. Okay, so we'll skip the heavies. It actually was going long routes, coast to coast, which is pretty unusual. So let's get over the refuelers. And that's my bad. I didn't load my video for the heavies, and ain't no doing it now. So we can actually look at it live. How's that? All right, so air refuelers up quite a few. Actually, see, we got a spurt of them coming out of central U.S. Got some activity over Florida and again over Trump's area from a refueler perspective, which means we got fighters in the area down there. All right, so again, another data point. None of it ever makes sense. But nonetheless, as we digress, we get up here next to Flashbang and Nantucket, as he is always having fighters over his area because the dude needs protection. So, all right, let's take a look at Europe. It's actually a lot lighter, but you will notice over Poland, we seem to have air refuelers kind of hanging out in the area. Remember, we got F-22s there, F-35s, all in that region, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, not surprised to see that. And then, of course, we got this one. U.S. Air Force air refueler hanging out kind of right along that Syrian border. We're going to look at that closer too here shortly, okay? All right, let's talk R-135s. Again, this is going to be one of your just kind of mapping the battlefield. It's a surveillance bird. It over Vegas. Notice it took off out of Vegas as well. Could be supporting some of the activity, red flag stuff going on there. Don't make too much out of it. Now, this one that came down towards Texas, take that personally. Yeah, they're just gathering something right in that panhandle of Oklahoma, right there along Texas. Who knows what they're up to? But let's get over here to Europe because this will really show you what they're up to. Again, another flight up here just hanging off the border of Russia. You know, it's driving them crazy. They probably scrambled fighters for that one, but that's Russia right there, folks. And then you get down here and notice that, again, not as far south this time, but they're running some routes over France, which I find interesting. And then right here over Poland, kind of southern Poland. And, of course, right along that Syrian border, right? Again, we'll look at that closer here shortly. But that's kind of an indicator of what's going on. The Middle East is heating up like a junkie spoon. So, all right, let's go over to Sub Hunters. Take a look at those bad dudes. We'll start off here in Europe. Notice the stuff going on over the UK, very active from a Sub Hunter perspective. Just south of Norway, running a couple little routes there. I find that very interesting. And then we get up here to this side of it, kind of the northern end of Norway, again, over the water. And then this one here, we'll back it up, get out over the other area, which I thought was also interesting. Don't make much sense of this. This is probably a P3 if I had to guess. but looks like it ran up towards, it's over that the Greece area, which we know we've got a bunch of NATO stuff there. And then you've got them, it looks like they have made some moves. They're either headed into Qatar or out of Qatar, UAE, in and out of, looks like Israel from what I can tell. And then Cyprus. So don't know. We'll wait and see, but very active. Oh, and then we get over here to the U.S. Got our normal stuff up there in Seattle. Little turn here off San Diego, probably talking to one of the subs. And then off Florida coast, again, down there close to Trump. And then off of Virginia Beach. We kind of expect that. And then north, up here in the very far northeast. So very active. Again, that's only 3 days traces. So that's quite a bit, right? And we get into the drones. Looks like we got one in North Dakota just popped up, did a little route, couple circles, and bugged out and came back. And then let's see here. We get over here to Europe. And let me back it up a little bit. You can see this is going to be kind of like the Forte. Again, last 3 days. Same little route. Notice it bugs up right over Istanbul and that port. And that's important because that's going to be a pinch point for our activities with Russia when we start to shut them down as they begin to take over Ukraine. You know it's coming. So, all right. Now let's talk civilian spy birds here. And just notice we got some stuff going on up here over the Northeast, kind of over DC, Virginia, Pittsburgh, that tight circle, man in the middle. Again, civilian spy bird. All right. It's LaSalle Aviation. And even running a little bit of that shoestring kind of run that we see. And they're just grabbing data. As always, data mining their people. So they're definitely watching somebody in that little corner there in Maryland and Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. So, all right, then let's hop over here to Europe and see what they're up to. Quite busy. This is probably Brio 68 for the most part. We got that little activity in Hungary again, and we got this one rolling out of Bucharest and Constanta. Again, probably Brio 68 doing most of that work right there. But notice too, watching Moldova, and we get all the way up along that Ukrainian border, the Belarus border, right? Up Ukraine, up Belarus, and then there is Kaliningrad. Remember, that's Russia. It looks like they did a little loop all the way around them. So a little bit of work there in Lithuania, just north of that, and then out over the water. And yeah, probably looking at the port and the seaport and the ships there. So, all right, that is going to be it for the civilian spy plane aspect. Now, let's. We were talking heavies. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to go for it right now and take a look at what we've got from the heavy perspective. Now, it's thinking because I've. Remember when I select the traces on these, it is counting every 5-second increments over the last 24 hours. So it will take a second to load that, and it's thinking. And my internet's a little slow today too. We'll look at the Star Wars map and see what's going on from a cyber attack perspective. We'll come back to this. Oh, there we go. All right, this kind of tells the picture. I don't even need to show the C-130s, just the C-17s. You can see long haul. Most of the time when dialing in on the heavies or the heavy lifts, right? These are the guys, logistics, supply chain stuff. Could be troops, but for the most part, it's not. They're using the charters to move the troops, and they're using the military birds to move the military equipment, like tanks and rocket, launchers and any HIMARS and all the other stuff, Meads, probably THAAD, all of the stuff that they use for missile defense, etc. So normally we see quite a flurry here on the East Coast, and then this time you'll notice it looks like a spaghetti chart. I mean, very, very active. Notice most of it comes into Hawaii, And I don't see only this one that looks like it was a exit and then went offline. So again, very odd from a C-17 perspective. We have not seen that in quite some time. Usually, like I said, they're usually coming from Europe, but they're usually all East Coast centric with a couple of little ones. So, okay, now let's get over here to Flashbang and his schedule. Actually, this guy should be the salesman of the year for gun sales. I'll tell you, I went to the range yesterday, and it was a Tuesday, and I know it's a lot of people are off this week, but the place was absolutely packed. And I was shocked at how many SBRs are out there, which are short barrel rifles. Because you got to get, unless you have a different type of buttstock on it, considered a pistol. But you actually have to go get approval from the ATF for those. It's kind of like a suppressor. So, nonetheless, there are a lot of them and a lot of people. So, again, Salesman of the Year, and it should be recognized for that because gun sales are going through the roof. Thank you, Flashbang. All right, so check this out. He is in Nantucket, and he's at this guy's house, David M. Rubenstein. And so let's take a look at who this guy is. He is a chair of the board of trustees for Duke University, but he's an American billionaire, former government official and lawyer, which he's probably given some advice to Flashbang, probably for Hunter and all of his other stuff. We'll look at that closer in a minute, too. But he's also the co-founder and co-chairman of Carlyle Group, and based out of Washington. So, yeah. All right. So that's where he is right now. Not that we really care, but nonetheless, let's get into why he's probably sitting up there talking to this guy. It says here that the Biden family, this is American Military News.com. The Biden family has 150 suspicious activity reports, or SARs, but the Treasury is obstructing release, says the House GOP. So, yeah, they're blocking them from being able to get in and look at this. We know they are a massive crime family and no different than the Clintons. But nonetheless, for really be in jail and not running our country, simply amazing. But here you go. Let's turn the other cheek. And this is crazy. This is Gateway Pundit. Supreme Court is allowing Dems in the House to obtain Trump's tax records so they can review how the IRS audits presidents. Yeah, I'm not buying it. They're looking for dirt. Again, they are going to come at him 6 ways from Sunday, and just buckle up, right? And here's a perfect example of that. If you miss this, Biden suggests that Trump will not take power again if he runs in 2024. Think about how absurd that is, that they can actually do that to anyone, for that matter. A power to stop somebody from running. Now, if you heard the speech, excuse me, if you heard the speech, he actually said he'll do everything in his constitutional authority to basically stop him from running. So it was a threat, and it was the same smirk he had on his face when they said, what are you going to do about the pipeline? And, he just kind of grinned, that little Cheshire cat grin on his face, smirk. Same thing here, right? So we know they're going to try and arrest him. And I think the only reason they haven't is because Trump announced he's running for presidency. And that will change how they have to proceed. And so that's the only reason he hasn't probably been arrested already. So nonetheless, we also saw that A.G. Garland has actually formed a special counsel to actually go in and look at the criminal activity of Trump. And of course, they will be successful because they don't play by the rules. So nonetheless, buckle up. We got a heck of a ride for the next 2 years. All right. Now, here's your Bohica moment. Now, this was money that was approved in September, but it looks like the disbursement is now coming. They've printed all the money, $4.5 billion. They've probably been printing it since September. And U.S. aid for Ukraine to begin coming in the weeks ahead. And so you're going to find out probably nothing will ever be done about it, but this is no different than the uranium one, pay to play. These guys are sending money into these countries, Ukraine specifically, It's being laundered, and it is being basically pumped into their foundations or somewhere in their private accounts. I will bet my life on it. Okay. No different than Uranium One when they raped and pillaged the American people. And they continue to do so unobstructed. Okay. Now, this one will get your attention. And we've heard it time and time again from a lot of other people, similar to King Charles. And we hear it from a lot of times from the World Economic Forum, right? But Emmanuel Macron comes clean. We need a single global order. Yeah, that's the Antichrist, folks. If you know your Bibles, they're going to bring in one global leader, and everybody will worship him. And so pay attention, because they're heading in breakneck speed in that direction. So amazing. And here's the other one, too. Pay attention if you're in the UK. It says they are facing the worst economic downturn among G7 nations. And that's not a good sign. Actually, they're saying that this winter is going to be pretty brutal for them and France. But the cost of everything is going through the roof. Fuel, energy cost, it's going through the roof for them. And so they're going to be in a very bad place here in the coming months, for sure. So, okay, let's get over here to our NOTAM. Again, notice to airmen is what it used to be. And so it's now notice to air missions, which I'm just going to stick with the old one. So nonetheless, you can take a look. These are danger boxes off the East Coast. Don't know if it has any relation to the fact that Flashbang is up here in Nantucket. But we do have this one. That's a space operations, and it actually is a daily TFR. So if you click on it, and I'll show you here in a minute, it's 20 deep. It's kind of crazy. Now, these little tiny ones that you see here, these are stadiums, right? And so it's either college football or baseball or football or something, NFL, MLS, whatever it may be. But basically just little TFRs over those areas. And then, of course, we've got these. All of these are pretty much, for the most part, mil ops, okay? It's either an exercise or an operation going on and across the United States. Now we back this up. Got them up here in Canada as well. We'll get over here to Europe, and you'll notice we got some new boxes here. Look at this one over Sweden. Major exercise going on there. You got this one kind of north, or actually west of Berlin. Switzerland's got one going on. We've got this off the coastline here of France, south of England. It's getting quite busy over there in terms of these NOTAMs, right? And then this one, of course, as always, over Ukraine. So, all right, now let's look at it a little closer. We'll pop up the My Radar and just take a look at what we've got. This is the box I was telling you. If you click on it for TFRs, it's racked and stacked. These are daily TFRs for, 2 weeks. Kind of unusual for them to do that. But I guess maybe there's a launch window or something. They just block them out every day. So, all right, this is going to be Flashbang because we know that's the extra large TFR box. And if you get down here into Florida, you can still see that one is the Trump TFR. Look how tiny that thing is. But nonetheless, that goes until May of 2023. And we back up. And then I'll show you the other one that just very, very small. Not as small as Trump's, but these right here. That's going to be Bob Marley headed home for the weekend. That's VIP TFR. That yellow box right there is a Firewatch, high wind. Oh, all right. That is really it for the most part in terms of TFRs over the U.S. Okay, moving on from that, let's look at Bitdefender. This is why my internet has been really sluggish today. You can see, man, this is like Air Jordan, just popping things from the three throw line. It's one after another, and then notice it hits here and it goes out to the West Coast. Kind of strange, but those are spikes that are just hammering our fiber optic network here in the U.S. And of course, it is lighting us up across the entire state. But notice it's all coming in and nothing going out. Normally you would see it go both ways, but for the last 2 months, oh boy, that's a big one there. Last 2 months it's just been one way, it seems like. So, all right, making friends all around the world, aren't we? Okay, here we go. Iran launches more large-scale missile attacks on northern Iraq. Like I said, that area is starting to heat up like a junkie spoon. If we get into, let's look at the Iraqi map, and you can see where all of this activity is happening. It's up there north of Baghdad and into Baghdad, kind of the green zone, etc. But you can see very, very active with Iran up there on that northern border, and that looks like it's going to just keep going. I see it heating up. So you look at other data points here. You got Erdogan threatening a large Syrian ground operation as soon as possible. That means he's probably getting ready to hammer him pretty hard, but nonetheless, that is another one. So let's go take a look at Syria, and you're going to see same thing on the northern side. Now, north of Syria is that's Turkey, all right, and so they are just going at it. Down here on the southern side of that, where you see looks like the little frowny face, that is right on the border of Israel and Lebanon. So those are attacks coming from Israel inbound. So, and if you haven't paid attention here, this just happened. Prime Minister Netanyahu is actually visiting somebody in the hospital. It says one teenager was killed, 18 injured in a twin terror attack by the Palestinians. Calling them terrorists, not a far reach. Keep in mind, I was just there, and we went into Bethlehem, and that is part of the PA, and it's a ghetto, man, and lots of stuff going on between there and Nablus. Lots of stuff. IDF is in there mixing it up on a daily basis. So, okay, let's get over here and take a look at Biggs Army Airfield, and clearly I have the dogs in here with me. And I apologize for that. It never fails. I was hoping they'd be quiet, but something got them going. But all right, let's go here. This is Biggs. We've got an inbound from the spa. We've got Omni coming in. This is a small one, but we've got Eastern Airlines coming in from JFK, March Air Force Base or Air Reserve Base. That's Omni. And then Eastern Airlines from Fort Hood, all arriving into Biggs. And then we get up here, we got Spa, we've got Eastern, another Eastern, and just look at their destinations. This one's headed to St. Louis. This one is Dobbins, the Bangor, Maine, and back to Fort Hood. More than likely, everything we see on here is troop related. Because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, you probably got a lot of folks that are coming inbound to back into country in time for Thanksgiving. After they've done their rotation abroad and they're going home. So that's probably what we see here. Dobbins also in Marietta, Eastern Airlines, right? Scheduled en route coming, and that's inbound. So, okay. Now, let's get over here to Poland. And this is one of our big base locations right in this general area. We have a lot of stuff in and out. Let's see if we got anything on the board that's going to catch our attention today. We do have a camber flight coming in from Travis. And another one, let's see. So it's two troop movers coming in, 747-400s from Travis Air Force Base. And nothing there. Let's see where they went, if they stayed the same. And so that's Canadian Armed Forces. So they are departing. Destination unknown. So that's going to be Canadian troops. And we get a little further down. It looks like it changed over to Atlas Air, headed to Hong Kong. Man, that's a long flight. And then this one here, Western Global, headed to Frankfurt. So those are your 47s. And let's see who this one belongs to. Challenge Airlines. That's Belgium. I don't know who they are. So it looks like they came in as troops and they're leaving as not troops. So because they lost that camber call sign. Okay. All right. Now, over here to, I believe this is Ramstein. Yeah, this is Germany. 2 camber flights inbound, Baltimore and Dover. And then they exfil, destination unknown. We got 3 of them actually leaving. This one is actually headed to Doha. which is down there by World Cup stuff going on down there. All right. Okay. Okay, a little closer look. This is going to be Coletta Air just to see if they've got anything going on. Looks like a lot of traffic still in and out of Asia. Again, that's how they're keeping the supply chain squeaking along because they're moving stuff via air. Notice these are headed out of Australia. Those are probably mill contract, DoD contracts. We have been loading a ton of equipment down here in this area. Everything from missile defense. We've got B-2s, B-1s, F-35s. We've got a lot of stuff down here. And it's just being geo-positioned to support a war if we get into it with the Chinese. So notice this one coming out of the Middle East, headed. That's probably the one we looked at, headed to Hong Kong. Okay. All right. Here's your Atlas Air. Again, you got one taking off. Actually, that's probably the one headed to Hong Kong. A ton of stuff in and out of Asia. Not uncommon for them. This one coming out of Hawaii is probably troop related. Headed into, if I had to guess, Japan. Very busy and active here in the U.S., but I'm very busy down in South America. But those are normal routes for them. So, as are these. So you really have to look at it from a camber perspective or looking at the base to know if these are actually moving military stuff. Okay. All right. There's Guam. And we had 2 reach, as you saw, as they flashed onto the screen. They have since left. Let's see if they don't want to show. Making me log in. You dirty. All right. We'll back up. Skip the login. But nonetheless, we had just 2 reach aircraft coming in. I didn't see any camber flights. We'll get over here to this side. There's a couple cambers. It has dropped off. We did have more than that. And it looks like it's coming out of Europe and headed down into the Middle East. So both of them coming out of Ramstein. Here's your Omnis. Again, troop movers. But this one's interesting. It's going to Alaska out of Shannon, Ireland, which is really interesting. And then a secondary coming out of Shannon. Don't have a destination for that. And then this one looks to be rolling out of Perot Field right here in Fort Worth Alliance, headed to Hawaii. Okay. And the Brits won. Very unusual. They must be celebrating their Independence Day, aka our Thanksgiving. And looks like that one's coming out of Cyprus, but don't have a destination. That's probably the smallest amount of UK birds I've seen ever. And again, this is going to be Navy Logistics. They got nothing on the board, so they're very quiet today as well. And we get over to the Ruskies, and it looks like I've got one rolling out of Turkey and headed southbound. This is the Black Sea. He'll probably, if I had to guess, hook a little left right here and probably come over here to Sochi, if I had to guess. And this was the only one I had tracked earlier. Again, this is the Ruskies, and it had taken off way down here in the bottom corner from this location. What is this place? Bishkek. No idea. And headed back to Moscow. So, all right. I think that covers everything. And we'll continue to watch it. I will be doing a live show on Friday. I know it's a 4-day weekend for most, so I'm going to give it the old college try, throw it out there. And then we'll do our regular Q&A on Friday as well. And then for those that are in the members and the Patreon folks, don't forget we got Q&A right after this. And that's it. You guys, I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Stay safe, stay frosty, and keep that powder dry. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.